This is Daily Dose of Daryl from the Peebles Motivation Bureau with a special bonus for Father's Day. Yep, Father's Day bonus 2024. Each letter in the word Father, F-A-T-H-E-R, has something for each of us. All of our relationships with our Father are very different. You may still have your father with you here on earth. Your father may be in heaven. You may have a father that was a stepfather or an adopted father. We all need father figures. And so I encourage you to look at each letter and to allow that looking into my own life with my own father to encourage you to grow in your relationships and to also help you to become a better father if you have that opportunity in your life. And remember, someone out there is looking for a father, and you might be it. This Daily Dose of Daryl around Father's Day weekend is a series called Father, F-A-T-H-E-R. I'm taking each one of those letters and highlighting something that my father displayed and taught me and that I picked up from him. The F stands for family. Family became really important to my dad. You see, his dad died when he was only, I guess my dad was about 10 or 12, and when he was in about the 7th grade, he had to stop school and work to help take care of his family. He had a sister that died right after childbirth, and another died when she was about 9, and then he went into the military, and during the war, his mother got cancer, and then he came back right before Roosevelt died to be with his mother before she died, and she was only 52. Later, his brother died in his 30s, so his dad was in his 40s, his mother in his 50s, and his sisters never got, to the age 10, and his baby brother was the only one left, so he really cared for him a lot. And so when he got married, his in-laws he took them on as his own, and they were like family to him. He would help them move and do all kinds of things for them, and his mother-in-law was like his mother and just helped so much. And it's easy to look back now at, with this perspective to see how family was something that was really important, and he was so good to me. He and my mother tried for 10 years to have a child, and they finally had me, and that's the only one they had. I don't know whether they thought that was enough for good or bad reasons, or whether they thought, well, that didn't work out so well. So anyway, he taught me the value of family and treating people, whether they were blood relatives or not, as family. So in this Daily Dose of Daryl, I'm dedicating these, of course, to my dad, and I'm hoping that as I lift up each of these segments, you'll reflect on your own family and your own dad, whether you still have him with you here, if he's gone on. But take this little series, the F-A-T-H-E-R, and reflect on each one, apply it to your own life. And I just want to start off this series by saying thank you, Dad, for who you were and who you still are in my heart and who you are in heaven. And so for this Daily Dose of Dad, I'm dedicating it to Randolph Calvin Peebles, known as R.C., and a great memory I have is helping him, working with him, building houses, stopping to get an R.C. Cola and a moon pie. I guess I thought at first maybe it was named after him. And so I might just this weekend go find an R.C. Cola and a moon pie, just to honor him. Do what you need to do to honor your dad. Reflect, remember, and honor. This Daily Dose of Daryl continues our series around this Father's Day weekend called F-A-T-H-E-R, Father. Of course, the first one, the F, was for family. This one is A, adjust. I learned the secret to life of learning to adjust well to all circumstances from my father. You see, my father, early on in life, started working in textiles, and he was a hard worker, very fast. I mean, he just was running rings around everybody in life. I could see that. And he was actually working in textiles, and he did what they call production work or piecework. And he was doing it so fast and so well that he was making more than his supervisor. And the supervisor, I don't believe, could handle it, and he accused my dad of cheating. Well, my dad was, he had a certain degree of integrity, and he also didn't like being called things that he wasn't. So he basically said, you know, I've heard people say, take this job and shove it. That's basically what he did. And even though he dropped out of the school about the 7th grade to work to take care of his family after his dad died, he did learn to read enough to make it. And so he got books and learned to read them. And I still have those books about how to be a carpenter. And he developed that trade, and he started working for a company and began to take all the scraps when they were going to throw things away, and brought them home, and finally had enough to build his own shop. And then he worked for 2 gentlemen as the head of operations, I guess you'd say. They did everything from ground up, building houses, and he pretty much helped them become, pretty well-to-do, taking care of things, and finally realized that self-employment was one of the keys, and he started his own cabinet business and worked for himself, helping others. Now, the way I learned how he adjusted to things, during that process, he was helping expand the house we were building that we lived in. He expanded that, and he cut 3 of his fingers off with a skill saw that jerked back on them while he was going up a door frame. And he had to wrap them up in a handkerchief, carry them to the hospital, wait 4 hours before they could do anything. They saved one of them sort of in a crooked manner, and the other 2 they couldn't, it had been so long. Another time he was kneeling down, and it shattered his cartilage in his knee. He started having problems, had to have an intraocular lens implant. He had arthritis that eventually disabled him. He had hardening of the arteries. And, by the way, they did put a pig's valve in his heart on my 33rd birthday at Emory Hospital. And so through this whole process, he kept going. And I learned that he learned to adjust to whatever life threw at him, and that there's life after tragedies. And so I appreciate from my dad being able to learn that lesson, that no matter what happens to you and what people do to you, what they say to you, you can learn to adjust to that. And so thanks, Randolph Calvin Peebles, alias RC. And thank you for passing that on to me. And it's my honor to pass that from you down to all the followers on the Daily Dose. I encourage all of you to look now at ways that you've learned to adjust and how you might do a better job at it each day. God bless you. Teach. My father dropped out of school in the 7th grade to take care of his family after his dad died, but he became a really good teacher. Now, I don't mean in the classroom, but the classroom of life. And one of the things he taught me, and one of the ways he taught me, was allowing me to work with him as he built houses and cabinets. And I remember distinctly when he was allowing me to cut a board with a handsaw. And he took his larger hand and placed it over mine and got me started. And then as I began to saw, he saw that I was trying to rush it and push down, and he said, "Darrell, just let the saw blade glide over the wood and let the teeth do the cutting." And I learned that if you do that, it's much easier on you, and it's a much cleaner cut, and the saw is able to do what it's designed to do. What a great lesson. He also taught me that God was important. He shared with me that when he was young and going to church, he made a commitment to the Lord and was baptized. And he wanted me to know that, even though he didn't go to the, quote, institutional church too much as an adult, he pretty much did what he saw Jesus do in his life. He also taught me there was a place for everything and everything in its place. So if you go to the shop and you reach for something, it's there, and you don't have to run around looking for it. It's called time management. And another thing he taught me was, don't ask anyone to do anything that you aren't willing to do yourself. And so I learned that you're not too good for any particular job. And so we did everything from crawling under the houses with the cobwebs to wiring the houses, whatever it took, we did it all. And it wasn't any kind of pecking order. It wasn't like, well, we got to find somebody to do this because we're too good for it. And that was a great lesson to learn early in life to apply to so many other things. One of the things, too, I'd like to share during this dose is, he said, no job is done till the cleanup. And so whatever job you have, it's always good to make sure you do the cleanup toward the end. Now, that's true in everything. And today is the H for help. My father, Randolph Calvin Peebles, alias R.C., learned early in life to help others. The first one that I know about was, when he shared about how he helped his mother when his dad died, and he was just a kid then. And I saw it personally when I came along, how he helped so many different people. Now, he helped people first and foremost in his talent and skill and craft as a carpenter and woodworker. He helped build so many houses in Pine Mountain, Georgia, and Opelika, Alabama. And when I ride through those places now, I think of all the memories and experiences people shared in all of those homes and in those churches. I remember one time we went to Opelika to pick him up and give him something. And he was on top of a church building putting the roof on it. And his back had a little white X where the overall straps went. But other than that, he was just baked brown. And I thought of all the worship services in that church and the people probably that made commitments in their life. And then he also not only did houses and cabinets and things like that, he helped people pay their bills as he got older, and he would go around and help the older people make sure the bills were paid and the errands were run that they couldn't do anymore. And, as he began to deal with arthritis and had to slow down a bit, he fixed a stick with a hook on it where he could reach down and pick up the I guess you'd say aluminum cans, they really were, aluminum cans, and picked them up and put them in the back of his truck. And I don't know how many thousands of cans he picked up off of the side of the road and streets, would take them down and get them recycled. So he was green before green was popular. And I guess one of the really neatest things was he helped some girls. They called them girls back then. They were young girls. And they were awkward. And they wanted to play softball, and nobody wanted them. And he became the coach. And he took them places and worked with them during his beginning to have sort of a retirement time from going on disability with his arthritis and stuff. Well, they grew up over 6 feet tall and started hitting home runs, and everybody wanted them. But they were loyal to him, and they stuck with him, and they went to the state and got trophies and had great times, and I got pictures of them and him with the coolers he would carry, and it's just great memories. So I dedicate this to him today for teaching me to make sure I'm one that will help others. Today the E is enjoy. And you know, that word enjoy, the last part of it's joy, and I think about joy in us. Enjoy, and then sharing that joy with others. I learned that from my dad. You know, he had a great sense of humor. He whistled while he worked. I learned to whistle, I think, from him while I was working. I remember the first time I learned to whistle was in Opelika, Alabama, at a hardware store with him. I had been trying so hard to learn how to whistle, and all of a sudden, in the middle of that store, and I don't know if I embarrassed him or what, but I finally came out with a really loud, screeching whistle. And I don't remember him really correcting me too much. I think maybe he told me maybe not want to do it in there so much, kind of quiet down a little bit. But I really learned how to do that whistle that day while I was with him. Another thing I remember about his enjoyment was fishing. He loved to go back to his really only surviving member of his immediate family was Uncle Pee Wee, his younger brother, the baby brother. And they would go out fishing, and they would take me when I got old enough to go out there. And we had so much enjoyment. One time I caught what I thought was a catfish, and I was getting ready to grab it, and they said, "You might not want to grab that catfish because it's a shark." And I remember them talking about the fish we were catching. I think it was crappie or something, carp. I can't remember what it was, but I caught a boatload of those things, and they said they weren't worth eating. So when we were coming back from the Mobile Bay back up to Summerdale, we passed by the fish house where they sell fish, and it had whatever kind of fish that was on the sign. It was like $2.20 a pound. I just threw back into the Mobile Bay about $800 worth of those things. And we had a good laugh about that. We'll go back to Uncle Pee Wee's, and they would get the big pot out to cook shrimp and cook fish and deep fat frying. Those trips to Summerdale, going out at Uncle Richard's before he died to pick watermelon and drive the tractor. My dad enjoyed life, and he made sure I had some enjoyment, and pulling out the old ice cream freezer and the old-timey one you would crank with a handle, and laughing and so forth. But I remember that good old sense of humor, and I don't want to give him total credit for it, but I believe that I learned from him the art of enjoyment of life and looking for the good things in situations. And so I want to pass that along to you today and encourage you on this Daily Dose of Daryl to develop your sense of humor and your sense of enjoyment of life, and find those times, spaces, and people where you can have some enjoyment. And today is R for respect. My dad taught me respect for people. He did it in many ways. One was, if he ever saw me disrespecting anyone, he made sure I knew not to do that again. Now, I don't know what the statute of limitations would be on getting a spanking. Now, back then, sometimes we called them whippings or whoopings or getting whooped up on. I didn't get but about 2 of those from my dad. My mother took care of the rest of them with the switch. You had to go out and, pick a switch from the bush, and they'd take the little leaves off except for the end and switch your little legs if you did something wrong. Now, I know that sounds cruel today to today's young people, but you know what? I learned respect. I learned what's right and wrong, and don't do that kind of stuff again. And all my mother had to say was, wait till your dad comes home, and that was enough for me. Well, they loved me, but they had a tough love too, that they didn't want me to end up disrespecting people. And I didn't do that very often, I guarantee you. Now, another way he showed respect was serving in the military. He actually, I guess I have to confess, he was a liar. He lied to my mother about his age, and so he was a little younger than her, but as a result, he was able to get married and started dating. Well, I eventually fessed up, but I came along out of that, and then he lied about his age to get into the military, and a little bit early, back during the war. And so he served in the Merchant Marines and also in the Army, and was very proud of that. In fact, he was called home just a bit early to be with his dying mother. My mother sent a letter to Franklin Roosevelt. About 2 weeks before he died, he signed the papers to get my dad home to be with his mother before she died. That taught me respect, to honor his mother. He also honored and respected his community. He did so many things that people did not know about. He was not like the president of this club, the president of that club, and all the big fancy out front things. But he was there whenever they needed anything to help his community. And he taught that to me, to respect your community. He respected the church. He'd do anything for them. He respected the military, people in uniform. And so when I was rejected because of a knee injury from the Army and only had 2 years of training, I had an opportunity eventually to serve in the fire department. And a part of that was to honor him and to also respect my community and to be able to help them. And so what I'd like to say today is, each one of you, figure out ways you show respect and do more of that every day. This is Darrell R. Peebles, the man behind the microphone, bringing you something positive each day from the Peebles Motivation Bureau, both positive, personal, and professional. Remember, there are 3 divisions: digital, real life, and print. But in the digital, we have not only the YouTube channel, but the website, Zoom events, and much more. In the real life, we do pulpit supply, funerals, weddings, magic shows, keynote speakers, and more. And in the print division, not only books, but magazine articles, newspapers, and custom artwork. Locally ordered books from me can get signatures and special discount. This one is already out and about, helping others. Churches and pastors have special discounts. I appreciate you, your ideas, and support. Keep them coming. These are other areas that I might be able to help you, and these are my contact points. This is Daily Dose of Darrell, responding to the free and gracious gift of God. I am using humor, the art of illusion, modern technology, and decades of serving God and communities to work every day to uncover the beauty in all people and experiences coming my way, endeavoring to educate, entertain, and inspire. Each dose on this channel can help move us toward a better, healthier, and more informed mind, body, and spirit. I'm excited to be a small part of the expanding of our capacity to learn, love, and forgive, and together leave this world a better place for all. God bless you.